Where are all our traders? I'm not seeing a lot of our traders in the session. Okay, I think we're live on YouTube. Good morning, traders. Welcome to the London webinar. We will have traders joining us very soon, so let's go. And good morning to the YouTube viewers. We're early today. We're a little early, about 5 minutes earlier than normal, because we had some movements during the session, during the news event yesterday. Nothing out of the ordinary. Actually, some trades, if traders were trading the news, there were some good trades. Actually, yes, US 30, the US 30, the DAX, all of those moved. The New Zealand was in a sell, but here's the thing: if you were trading any of the trades before the news, you would have to close them all. That's the rule we use, right? In front of the news, all the entry orders we had, we would take them off. Then we would trade the news with a specific strategy we have for momentum trades. Now, we didn't trade it yesterday because I forget that we had news at 7. Had I remember, we would come back. We normally close the room, come back and trade it, right? My installment traders would know that as well. But in this case, we didn't manage. I didn't remember, so it's a pity it's gone. Now, the only trade traders could have been in yesterday that would have given them a good lot of profit was the gold trade sell that we had, right? We had the gold sell, and it had moved quite a lot before the news. So if you go back to the 1 minute or the 5 minute chart, the news movement was actually this piece here. That was the drop. If you'd taken that in there and you'd kept it at break even, well, then you got some extra. If you took off the trade, you took off with profit. Now, I didn't think gold was going to go that much because we thought gold was just going to drop a little here, go back, make a new high, and then drop. All the bigger picture was downside, starting with the dollar index, because we know dollar index was going to break out of this structure to the upside. So if you were trading the news, and this is the rule when you trade news, you go with, even if you don't have a complete pattern, you go with the bigger direction of the trade. So some of those patterns turn out to be contracting flats, and some will be running flats today. You go with the bigger direction where there's a big sudden move that could happen, right? Because that one is, if you're trading news, if there's anything potentially that could happen, that is what would happen, right? You'll get a big move in the direction of the bigger move. So here's what I'm going to do if you guys have the patience. There is no trade setup except one trade that I took. It's an aggressive trade. I posted in our trading room. That is I took the Aussie on the 15 minutes, right? Because I expect them to go back up, right? So this is a 15-minute aggressive trade. I wouldn't encourage anybody else to take it. My traders know what they can do with this, right? It's in our trading room and how we manage trade like this. I'll tell you why we're expecting it to go. So if you guys have the patience, I'm going to teach you a part of wave analysis now. The first 10 minutes, you're going to get wave analysis lessons. Let's start with dollar index, and we'll start with the monthly. Right, so if you have the patience, you're going to learn something. This is the wave. This is the structure we have. And I think a lot of you have been following me for a long time. Anybody totally new, absolutely new. I mean, you just started, let's say this week with us. You're signed on to these live sessions for the first time. Even you start from Monday. Anybody? Is there anybody in the room like that? Because I'll have to give you a 1 minute or 30 seconds quick introduction. If not, I'll just go straight into the patterns. Nobody. So you're all traders, seasoned traders with me being a long time, right? I don't see anybody. Anyone on YouTube, by the way, you can type. I'll see the chat on YouTube as well. If there's any trader that is absolutely new. Okay, we have one new trader only. So what we do here is called wave analysis. So just for you, everybody will give me 5 seconds. It's based on a very simple concept. A simple concept is that nothing moves in straight lines, which means any movement that happened either down or up after a time will have to stop, right? You throw a ball up, after a time it comes back down, right? Gravity pulls it down. If you listen to the music, you get it in waves. If you study light, it goes in waves. The same thing happens here. The market moves in waves. And it's a natural thing, right? Nobody will buy something all the time, no matter what the price, they just keep buying it. At some point, they thought that price is too high. So what they're going to do is they're going to stop buying it, and then the price will correct itself. What does that mean? You got to move up. The price will correct itself to a point where people think, well, this is a fairly good price. We can start buying this stuff again, right? Some things are seasonal, which creates the wave by themselves, right? Some commodities, products, they're seasonal because they go in specific season, and that by itself create waves. So that's the whole concept. Now, how you understand the concept or how you're going to trade the concept is what we do. So what we looked at is that you get sharp moves and then you get correction back into the top. Retrace part of it, drop. I am looking at this as a corrective structure, which means I expect this to drop beyond this low at some point in time. That's not for trading, that's for analysis. At some point in time, this is going to go down, and it should go down relatively fast, right? So that's the whole point about the dollar index. That's what we knew. If you had followed me anytime when this dollar index was coming down at the bottom here, when this move was going down, and if you go back and you look at any of take this date and go back and look at the webinars, we would tell you that we are expecting this to make a flat here, and then we're expecting to go back above this top. And when it goes above the top, it is going to reverse. So that forecast was made sometime in when this was going down already. So that forecast was made somewhere in 2020. So this down move and that up moves were forecast in 2020. That is 3 years ago. You can go back and you can look on my webinars in 2020, 2021, 2022, you would see exactly the same thing. Now that is just forecast, that's not trading, right? So now we're going to go into the trading part of it. What you would look for when you're looking for reversal is an impulse to the downside, which means we think this was the first impulse down. And that means this move here is either all the correction or a part of the correction. If you remember, I think it was early this year, I showed you this one, and I said when we get something like this, we would confirm the downside, not the one at the top there, and not these smaller ones. When we get something like that, then we'll confirm it, which means we want something like this. And then we confirm the downside to go and dig. So trading from here long-term will be very, very easy because the impulses down will be sharp, the corrections will be small. Let's go. This piece here now, we're looking at this piece here as probably the first part of that correction. Could it be all the correction? I don't think so, because we had these small ones here, right? You can see those smaller ones. We had some of them there. I'm not sure there are a few more small ones. There's a running flat in here and all of that. We're not going through every one. There's a running flat there. You can see that. We had one here and we got another one there to make a top. So if this is all the correction, this one should drop through the bottom. I don't think it's all the correction. I think we're actually going to make more. Can this come here and go back up and come here and go back up? I'm not expecting them to exceed the 50% retracement. So this would stay small. I can see them consolidate more in the lower level, right? That is how you look at wave analysis. When you're in an impulse, the corrections are not deep. Like I said, you're going to learn something. The corrections are shallow. And that goes for all time frame. So what we will be looking for is once we break that top, the number one thing you want to look at, and I told you guys, we always use MACD only for divergence. Well, for other things, but mostly for divergence. See the divergence we have in there? And I showed you that from the start of this week. What that means is that this move is losing momentum. Even if price goes and you get divergence, you're losing momentum. And momentum means you're either going to get a deeper correction and go back up, or you're going to drop to the bottom. So once we broke the top, the first thing you start doing is looking for a reversal. See that divergence stays there? You're looking for a reversal point. I'm looking for this to come down. And it's very simple. If there's a 15-minute setup, you can take it. If there is no 15-minute setup, and now it's already too late for the 15-minute setup, I don't think we have any. No, we really don't have any 15-minute setup, but it's just going down. What we're going to do in the 1 hour is we're going to allow this to drop to a certain extent. And then at some point, it's going to make a really small correction here. Not a big one, a really small one. Most likely, it might even be in a 15 minutes. And we're going to sell this with a stop above here. The idea is that most of this could reverse itself today. Totally. And I'm not kidding you. You could literally even pass this level today and go lower. Or it's going to come down really slow. See, it's going to give you a drop like this, then it's going to pull back and a drop and pull back, and we'll have another flat here. I'm not expecting another flat. Let me repeat this. I'm not expecting another flat. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I'm telling you from my experience of looking at this pattern is that from this point now, we're likely going to go down. So if we get this setup, we're going to trade it to the downside. right? It's that simple. Good morning to all of you on YouTube. I see some good morning and some hello. I was a newbie about 8 years ago. Okay, great. So what we're going to look at now is wait for the flag. Have the patience to wait for the flag, because if this consolidates at the top here like this would mean that we will have at least one more impulse up. At least one more impulse up. If that happens, we're going to buy. The buy will come at least 8 to 10 hours from now. So the buy is not going to be earlier than the New York session. Any buy you get earlier than the New York session is not a good risk to reward trade, even if it goes. But if you get a really good flat, takes 10 hours, maybe 15, maybe a day, then that impulse is worth taking to the upside. What we're going to look for now is what happens. So one trader, why I'm giving you guys this lesson, because one trader, and you're always going to have a trader who is out of his league in understanding patterns, went and right, oh, well, all your trades went wrong, which is weird, because not all of them went wrong. You remember all the stocks went, this gold was a sell. I told you guys I sold in New Zealand and all of that, but I closed in New Zealand because by rule, we will close all trades before the news. I didn't know the news was coming. I just thought I'm going to be off the computer. I close it for a small profit and walk away. If I know the news was going to be there, I would keep it like 5 minutes before the news. And if I have enough reason to believe it's going to continue to go, I'll stay with it. If not, I'll take it off and we will trade it with the momentum strategies. Now, this method might be above your head at the moment if you're new, right? I could totally agree with you that understanding this wave analysis could be a little above your head if you're new. If you're with me for a long time, I think you're seasoned, you understand wave analysis by now. Whether you can predict it as good or as I can do is a different story, but you kind of get an understanding. So let's see where we're going to get trades. Like I said, there's no trade set up right now, unless it's a 15-minute trade. So we're going to go through them really slow. I'm going to show you all of them in the daily. So this one, we're waiting for a sell setup. I'll put this as waiting for a flag for a sell setup. That would change if it stays at the top consolidating. Let's go. Silver. Silver, I thought, I explained to you yesterday, I thought this would go back. The bigger picture was always downside, but I thought this was going to at least make one more up here because this was coming down really slow. But if you sold this, if anybody saw that and you sold that, if that happened, I think that happened after the news, not before the news. This dropped before the news. If you did, you would only sell it for one move down. And if you manage to get it to drop that much and the news is coming, you would do one or two things. You would close the trade and either look for an entry or close the trade and look for a buy. Either of those could have happened and it will still be downside. Well, they dropped and that was all the correction. No problem. We'll look for a buy setup. Big picture in this one. Let me go through the big picture very quick for you. And I think this is where traders are going to be really, really happy, right? This is the impulse. And I think by now all of you can figure out this is the correction. So here's the big question. Will this correction retest the low? Would that move retest the low here before it goes? Would it stay here longer before it goes? And that would depend. Whether you think this is going to come here, would depend on how you look at the entire yearly structure. Well, we did that in our trading room this morning. And the possibilities it can go, because this correction here is 9 years, and the previous correction on the yearly was 11 years. This correction down here is 9 years to the point at 11. The previous correction that they made, there was, if I can pull the chart back, there was an up and then there was a down like this, and then you got this. This correction, this previous correction here was 11 years. So we can make an assumption that this one is over, right? That this piece is over and this could go and retest that top. We can clearly make that assumption that that is possible. But here is what would change. If this keeps coming down lower and lower and lower, then that would change. What you would see is this goes back up there, becomes a flat, come back down here. They're not going to break this level very much. They'll barely tag that level again. They'll barely tag that level slowly here, and then this will take off like a rocket, right? So which of those two? Well, for trading purposes, these are very big moves for us. This one would be an amazing big move for us. So for trading purpose, these moves are really, really, really huge. For the analytical purpose, you understand what it's doing. So I go back to the 1 hour now, and we're coming down with let me go back to the 4 hour first. I want you to see this. Daily. I want to put the trend line down and show you the pattern. So we're in this here. And there's a number of ways you can look at this. I'm not going to go through all because that would take long, but one of the ways you can look at this is this sharp wave here and this one relatively sharp to be some kind of a running flat here. So you would get this done, you would get all of this here as consolidation for the B wave, and this could probably come back to this level before we go back up, right? That is a possibility, not necessary. But if not, then this would just go back up there and then we will start to go up move, right? Now, you notice this one didn't have a lot of deep pullback. They had very small pullback. So I see this deep pullback as possible coming to the low and then go, right? We know dollar index is consolidating upwards, which means this down move could happen. So you go in the 4 hour and you're looking at it. Okay, any flag we get here, we will sell. We will make an assumption that this is a corrective structure, which means I was right at this piece and I was a little confused here because that piece started going a little higher than I expected. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it come because this piece was telling us that it was kind of looking corrective. We didn't expect it to go that much up, right? That was the piece that will get you every now and then when you're expecting a flat here that should drop and then it goes a little higher. I will have to get used to that. I think with experience, I will get used to the fact that these corrections could go a little more than you want it to go. So this move is coming down really sharp, which means anytime, any corrections we get here, and we will get some corrections, you're not going to sell it at this point. It has to make some kind of a correction. We do have divergence. That means this correction could be a little even bigger than that before we go down. So we will keep an eye to see what corrections they make here, and then we will go for a sell setup. What if this was all the correction? What if this piece here was all that big correction and now it's just going to drop? Well, we're going to see that as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this. If it becomes a flat, it's a sell. If it becomes a flag, we'll consider the buy. I said consider the buy because I prefer buying other ones, those that I'm pretty sure has the up move to come, and that is gold, right? Gold on the lower level, remember this was a short sell. Like I said, you probably would have closed that before the news. If you did, no problem. There's a good chance this is going to go back to this stop, at least within this range. The bigger picture in gold, I've shown you before, and I think we're going to go through it again. I don't think gold is going to come back here. Now, this is important. I don't think it will come back and retest the low. This is also correction. I don't think we have any questions about that. Now, I don't think it's going to come back because this move is really, really deep back to the top. Now, what I can see gold do is consolidate in this range and maybe even make one more down before they go back up, which means we might get something more like this rather than going down to the. So this down move here might create a down move in silver that breaks the low because silver is already very close to the low. If you look at it logically, right, that's a possibility. I think this would most likely make a consolidation here and go up. Well, we will see whether that happens. Come back to the daily. This move, the drop, is a single move. It's very important you remember that as a single move because in some patterns, we have more than one move at the top, which means we have a lot of moves in here already. One of those are the Aussie. I think Aussie has a lot. New Zealand has a lot. Pound has a lot. Euro and gold and a few more has just a single move like this. So the single move coming down means that at some point, this move, I don't see this here as a correction anymore. That's very impulsive. At some point, this consolidates in this range, come down here and then go. How long this consolidation is going to be for, we don't know. So we're going to come back here. And because it dropped that much more than I thought it would drop, because I think this was going to make one more up before it come. That was my thought process, that this here would probably just drop a little here, go back, test the top, and then come down. Well, it dropped. I'm wrong about that, and it dropped away a little too early. Now, this drop here and this move here by itself is not a pattern, right? That doesn't constitute a pattern. That's part of a pattern, that is some kind of a future pattern. So if we get a flag here, if I get a sell set up here, it has to be more like this. Only then we can actually sell that. Because if you take a small sell here, they'll just tip the low and go right back up. What we would like to see today here is we would like to see this go up a little more, make a flag here, and then take that trade back to the top. A flag like this would work. A flag like this would work. All of you remember that trade. My traders would remember. We weren't live that time. We did this in the trading room, and we took that trade up. So this would be a good one if we can get this trade to go back up. Now, this is sharp, and this is sharp. The only way we can look at this differently is if for some reason we look at this as a really, really huge expanding flat. And that would depend on how this goes. If this goes really fast, we will look at it as an expanding flat. If it doesn't go really fast, if this ends up going up more like this, then we would look at this as a more complex pattern, coming back here, going back up, and then drop. See? It all depends on how this piece of the structure is going to develop for you to make a decision what it's going to be. That's for the analysis. What would be the trade setup? Well, simple. Give us an impulse. Since we know it can come back to the top, what we want is an impulse and a flag. For sell setups, you would have to be really careful at the bottom here. It has to be a really good correction, because I don't think this is going to continue to drop forever. That you can look at the whole structure and that never happened. Right? It never goes in one direction forever, especially when it's in the bigger correction. So what I'm going to do is I left this so that you guys can see them, but we'll take them all out now. You were supposed to be out of all the trades before the news. I think this is still possible. We were expecting this to come down. So if I was trading the news, this would have been a sell, at least back to this level. Right? If we were trading in the news, we would go with a sell here to bring it back to this level, and then we would probably have exited the trade somewhere here. Why? Because I would be looking at a 1, 2, 3. I think I told you that. We're not buying the euro. We will allow it to break the top. Go back and watch all the webinar, especially the guy who was making himself a fool on YouTube. Go back and watch the webinar. We wanted to break the top, and then what we're going to do, we're going to sell it. Because what I thought it's going to do, and this is based on pattern, is that it will come back to this low and then go back up without breaking this low. I would never forecast breaking this low with a pattern like that. Can it break the low here and still go back up? I think it can. Now, here's the question. What if I'm wrong and this was all the correction? And this one is actually trying to go down. Well, good for you. All we have to do is wait for this to prove that that is what it's doing by making a consolidation here. If we get a consolidation like this, we're going to sell it. If we get an up move with a flag, we will buy it back to the top here. We will end up with a running flat or an expanding flat, and then we will sell. So we can actually put those down and see. I need an impulse here in the 1 hour and a flag. We got a small impulse. It's pretty small. I would like it to go more. I would like this to go a little more here and then make a flag, something like this. We reverse that, make a flag here, and then that's the trade. Right, let's see if we get that. If we get that, we're going to buy. If it stays here, and it has to stay here for a lot of hours, making something like this, going back up there, giving me a flat, well, then we will sell. So the sell is going to take much longer than the buy. The buy we can get before New York, during New York. The sell you're going to get tomorrow. So let's see which one comes. Pong, this is a loss. If you were in the trade, you should have closed it before the news. This was the drop of the news. If you closed it here, well done. It's not a problem. You would take a loss, but I will just consider it a loss. And I think this one is the one I really, really got wrong, because I really thought this one would come back to the top here and then go down. Well, that happens sometimes. And that means that the pattern I was looking for was wrong. We have to look for this as the pattern. This here was the correction, right? We initially thought that was the correction, but then this came down really slow. And not only did it came down, so it actually started to go back up. So then my thought process, well, this is going to get a little bigger, right? And if you didn't think so, you know nothing about wave analysis. If you didn't think that this is going to be a bigger pattern and it's going to go there, then your whole thought process of wave analysis is incorrect. I'd rather be looking at that possibility and be wrong about it than not look at that possibility, right? That's the whole thing about this concept. You have to understand the depth of the concept. I'd rather be wrong that it didn't go there, but I will always be looking for that possibility in now and in the future. Because if you don't, and it happens, then you would, you pretty much don't understand what you're looking for. Now, this drop here, I didn't see coming. I thought they would still probably go back up from this point, make a running flat and go back there. Well, it dropped. So now we are stuck with what we have, and that means we take this out. This was all the correction. This was the move to the downside. It just happened to be a slow move, and that could be. This here turned out to be all the correction within that move. So this move here made just this correction and a drop. So nothing is wrong with that. I got the pattern wrong, and that's okay. I'm willing to go with that. I got it wrong. So here now, can we sell this? And here's a question. There's a reason that line is there. Because daily, let's go to the daily. Because the thought process was, when this is over, when it gets back to the top there, it's going to drop to this one, break this low. and maybe break this low. But then this is the corrective structure to go back up to the top. Remember I said the pong has more than one, because the pong has 1, 2, this is the third part, and this looks like the most corrective part. Again, I would always look at this as the most corrective part that has to go back to the top, come back here, and then take off. Now, would it make that pattern? I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to make that pattern. What about if this continues to go down and go and do this and do this and do this and do this and then do this and then go back up and then come back down and then go? We will still have a running flat. So if you're one of those new traders who do not understand how patterns could develop, and I tell you that I'm expecting this to go back up and then you see this, don't jump too high and don't be too happy, because that is a pattern. I'm just always looking for the simplest possible pattern that could happen next, because that way you don't miss the trades when you see them, right? So can this happen like this? Yeah, we've seen that, and then it's going to do this, and then it's still going to go up, because this is still going to go up. All right, so let's come back to the trade now at the bottom here. Do we have a trade at the bottom there? Well, we will have to really get a good flag or a good flat before we sell it. It's kind of going sideways in a 1 hour. I don't like to take 1 hour trades at the bottom of a move like this, because where do you put your stop? If you try to sell this, where do you put the stop? Above the top? That means you think it's going to come to the bottom here, and I don't think that. But what I can tell you could happen is that this could break the low and go back up and break the low and go back up and break the low and go back up. And if I see this, I'll be pretty happy. I will be absolutely happy, because there's a strategy to trade that if this happens, and most likely when you see this happens, we get that trade with a really small risk and a really good reward in it. So that would be my buy setup. Now it looks like it's consolidating. Unlike Aussie, it's not going up, it's going sideways, and it can go some more. It might have even started that here. We might have already started that with this first one here. This could be the second one, and they could drop again and then do this one, and then we'll look for the buy setup. I'm not interested in the sell at that point. If I miss the first sell, which is a loss, then I'm not interested in this sell here, because structurally this has to go back. If this becomes much bigger, if this one actually becomes much bigger in terms of consolidation like this, well, then we will definitely sell it. All right, so we'll wait for this trade as well. Aussie, I'm already in this trade. I still think it's going to go. It's going slow. It's a very aggressive trade, because in the 1 hour, it's only the first impulse, right? It's only the first impulse. And let me show you the daily in the Aussie. This is the daily structure. This is the impulse in the Aussie. Remember, I said some of them have a lot of consolidation in them already. That is this one. This is the impulse, and this has a lot of consolidation already. It actually made a low here and start to go back up. Now, there is a chance at one point in time, if you would watch my webinar, remember we said this could possibly be a running flat when this was here to go down. It went up a little more, so because it becomes that big, I think we kind of overlook the possibility of it being a running flat. It could still be a running flat, right? This could possibly still be a running flat here and go down. So the possibility is this could retest this low before it goes back up, right? Or it could go back up from here. Both of those are possible. So we'll just go to the 1 hour. I'll go to the 1 hour immediately. And we'll look at this. And what you want to see is if you have divergence in the structure. If you have divergence here in this one coming down. And if you look at it from this way from the start, we do have divergence. The first drop creates divergence all the time. Now, divergence is not the end of the move. Like I said, it's probably a continuation, but with continued divergence. So if I see this coming back like this to this level, we'll look for another sell, which is either something like this or something like this. We will still sell it. But if it goes up really sharp, then it should break out of this and go back all the way to the top, which means this can become an impulsive move to the upside, not necessarily a corrective move. So on the 1 hour, on the 15 minutes, what I'm looking for is a reversal, and I'm in a little early. It seems like they're still making the running flat. I went with it for an earlier running flat, which is I thought this one here made a small running flat here. But it looks like they're still doing this. And if they continue to do this for a long time, if I see this, I'll probably take off the trade wait for that to finish, maybe wait for it to go up like this, come back like this, and then look for the buy. Now, if this is going to consolidate in this range, we'll sell it, right? The stop loss is under the low. Don't try to take it now though, right? Because now I'm thinking whether I need to get it. If you look at the 5 minutes, you'll see the structure I'm talking about, right? So I'm talking about this one. We do have this sharp one here, but we had this flat. We got this flat, so we kind of get this one here. If this comes back to this level and actually go back up, that'd be a good idea. So if I were you and you're not in the trade, what you can do now is put an entry order above this top, which is what I should do. I should close this trade and put it there. Normally we do that on the hourly. And on the hourly, this is the third hour. So if it doesn't go in the next hour, if this trade in the next hour doesn't go, this one closes here, pull back to the top here and don't go break the top, I would close this trade and put the entry here. My traders understand that, right? So basically right now, if the next candle, next hour, not this hour, but the next hour doesn't break the top, I'm out of that trade. This looks like a very good impulse on the hourly. I think you guys should wait for the hourly consolidation. Now, if you're very aggressive and you think, well, I don't want to miss it if it takes off, you can put your entry order above the top. You don't have to take it where I take it. You can put it above the top. And if this proves to be the running flat in the 5 minutes and the 15 minutes, if this proves to be the running flat, then the next impulse should be like this. And then after that, you'll have to take profit because you're going to get well, you might go a little higher, but then you're going to get an hourly consolidation, which is the buy for everybody. That would be the buy setup for all of us. New Zealand was a good sell yesterday, an amazing sell. The sad thing is I closed it a little too early. I closed it because I think I closed it somewhere here. I knew it was going to break that low, but I wasn't going to be in front of my computer. I totally forget about the news. Otherwise, all I'll do is put it to break even and watch it go. That would have been the right thing to do, but I'm not going to be in front of the computer. I don't think it was going to drop that much, so we closed it. So in the big picture, what is it? It's a running flat in the making, right? So we were looking for a flat, which is this should come here, go back there, and then drop. Well, it actually dropped without that, which means we still have this open. This should come back to the top here, make a running flat, and then drop. See? So we're looking for a running flat here and then drop because we have nothing for this to go with. Nothing. Nothing in the past here has this. Now the big picture of this is like this. I'll show you all the majors in the big picture, and then we'll go. This is the big picture. Looks like a mess, right? Actually, the down move started from here. So this was a move going up. This was the very low. Right? That was the absolute low because everything came from the top. Yeah, I think this one here was the absolute low. So this was the flat before. It came from the very top, dropped there, reversed, made another flat here. I think you can literally see this one. Go back up there. So this is a 1, 2, 3, right? Now, after that, you would say to yourself, well, if this is all the correction, one second, guys. If this is all the correction, why did this not drop? Well, because we were in a daily and a yearly, we were in a multi-year structure. I think this is only the first impulse of that correction. So this move coming down here with this piece here, one drop, correction, drop. I looked at this as a correction earlier. Now we might end up looking at this as a running flat in the middle there if this is to come back and break the low. Right? If this comes back here and break this low, we would look at that as a running flat. As of now, I'm looking at it as a separate flat of its own. A smaller correction. This is the final down move. That is a sharp move up. This is a deep correction. I think this correction eventually goes back to the top, make a flat because we came back to the low, come back down here. All of this here would become the B part of that entire structure. All of this here would be the B part of that entire structure. And then we will have to do this up. So we will be stuck in this range here for the next 20 years. All of this is going to happen here, and all of this is going to happen here, and then we're going to go there. So first, it has to get the up move. That is the dollar dropping. So let's go and see whether that is going to happen here, right? That's the analysis. That's not the trade. We're going to go look for a trade now. So in terms of the trade, you can either decide that this is part of that correction, and this goes back up here, come back here, and then go back to the top. Either break through the top or come back down. We'll see which one happens. Right now, we want the trade to the upside. So I'm going to draw the structure we'll be looking for the next couple of days of this week. We want this to go back to the top there. It should be equal, similar to this, not equal, but similar. Right? So we're going to put it like this, and then we're going to look for this move to the downside. Here's the thing about this. If this actually goes up and we get the buy setup and I'm wrong, this is going to go higher. So we'll track it. We'll see whether it goes much higher or whether it actually stops. By the way, you can take a snapshot of this so you would learn something. You will see how forecasts work and whether they actually work. So in the 15 minutes, do we have a setup? No, we don't. I was tempted to take this one, but there was not enough of a consolidation here. This is just the first move up. And I'm glad that we actually ran through this one here. So what I want is a consolidation like this, but across here. And then we will take that trade up. So if you have the patience and we get that consolidation, that would be an amazing trade. Just jumping into it for it to go up might not be a great idea, right? So we're waiting for that consolidation. Let's hope that it happened here. And then we can go for the trade all the way back to this stop and then down again, because that will complete rather than a regular flat, which we were looking for, right? We were looking for this to come here and go back up, make a regular flat and then drop. Well, it actually dropped beyond the low. So the next option is a running flat. Let's see. We really need a flag because I would not jump into that trade without a flag. And let's go. Yen. Well, we had the yen correct the first time around. That is this going back to the top. The flat became bigger. No big deal. The bigger structure. And I think yen is very important. Let me show you the weekly because we might have completed that running flat already. Right? We spoke about that earlier. And in one of my webinars in the long term, I showed you. We were expecting this move. I think if you remember, I said this one would eventually pull back to the equivalent and then they will retest that top. Now, there's a good chance this could go retest the top, even if the dollar index is just consolidating upwards, right? This could go retest and then this could drop. So on the very, very big picture, in the monthly structure, this here does look like a big, okay, I don't have the monthly structure. You'd have to go. It looks like a big expanding flat. How high would this go? I don't know, right? So we'll have to wait and see whether it goes, if it goes. So come back here. If we get any consolidation, we still don't have anything for this one, and I'm still a little reluctant to put it with this one here, right? Although that is a possibility, but we'll see. Depends on what happens here now. If we get any flag, we will buy. Sorry, if we get a flat, we'll buy. If we get a flag, we'll sell. Can this come back and retest the low and then go? I think it can. I think we can come pretty low. So if we get any flag here, we'll be selling this downwards. If it stays in this range, we'll buy it. We need a flat before we can buy, which means a big correction, something like this at the top there to buy. Take all of these out. Let's go. And CAD. CAD did exactly what we wanted to. So if I was trading in news, the CAD would have been a buy because the big picture is upside. We expect that move to go on the weekly. So you see what the forecast is for the CAD. If any one of you remember, go back to this date. We were expecting this to go up. And we said two things it could possibly do. It could make a correction or it could go up as an impulse. So this here could either be a corrective structure, which means this come back, retest the low and then go. That's one option because we had 1, 2, 3 here. We had 1, 2, 3 there. This was the only one that came down. It did break the low. So that qualifies for the end of the pattern, which means this could just come here, come back to this low and then take off like a rocket. Right? That is the next possibility of how this could move. Well, remember the US dollar is in front of here, right? And we know US dollar is going to go down. So we will see which one happens. This could literally just stop here, come back to this low, break this low. That is all a correction to the upside and then go back up. And this would just be a bigger pattern. That is also possible, right? So let's come back here. I don't see this structure any other way beside those two options, right? So from this point, the first thing that we would expect is this should come back and break this low. And if you're new to wave analysis, don't get upset if it actually does this and then come back here and go, right? Don't get too upset if this goes a little higher. Don't start jumping onto the comment and make crazy comments, right? Understand that what I'm looking for is a simple flat. This going up there and come back here will make a running flat. We don't forecast running flats. If you're a wave analysis trader, you never forecast a running flat because that's guessing. You're literally guessing that, oh, well, this is going to go up. You don't know that. If it happens, it happens, but you don't forecast that as a possible pattern, because then you're messed up. You're literally guessing your way, right? That you don't know when a running flat is going to happen. So never ever forecast one. Forecast a regular flat and let it become a running flat. That is better. But you can trade a running flat, which means if this stays here and makes a flag, we can trade this upwards, right? We saw this coming. So now from this point, any flag here or flat, we will buy one impulse at a time until it gets there. Because any one of this could turn back to the downside, which means any sell setup we get will sell. Any sell setup is a must. Any trade to the upside, well, possible we'll buy it. So we'll come back to the 1 hour. And if we get a sell setup, we'll absolutely take it. We don't have a sell setup. Go to the 15. No, we still don't have a sell setup. What we actually have is a possible running flat here for one more up. This could possibly be a running flat here for one more up. That is what we have right now. So there is no trade, right? Because I'm not buying this with a small running flat like that, 50 minutes. I need a 1 hour consolidation to buy. If I'm going to buy this, I need this consolidation to be very solid in a 1 hour. So I need this to stay here much longer. I need this to stay here for a very long time, so that, and the lower it comes, the better for me, because I want, when I buy this, by the time it breaks the top, I can get that trade to break even. If I can't get the trade to break even, I'm not taking it, because all it's going to do is break the top and drop. And you're looking for that if you actually took the trade. Take the trade to the upside. So we'll look for that to do that. So long-term picture, you have all of them. Now we're just going to go to trade setups, right? What trades we have. Swiss, oh, I forget it's Swiss. The Swiss, the long-term is very, very confusing. I'm not sure. Good. So this is what we have. Let me see if I can make it as simple as possible for you guys. We have a move up. We have a big expanding flat here, and we have a move up to this level. I think this or this one is the top. One of the two is the top, right? We have a move up to there. And then we started to consolidate downwards. This one went up very slow, and then it's coming back down. So I think all of this here is consolidation. So there's a very good chance this could come back to this level. And then we're going to start another move up, which means you're going to get another move up, not necessarily as fast as that. You're going to get another consolidation somewhere here, and you should get another move up if we replicate this first move up. All of this, in effect, would be some kind of a corrective structure going up. I think you can see that already, right? Now, these are years and years of trades, right? We're in a weekly. So on the daily, what's the trade? We knew we were going to break out of this. We just don't know how high this one is going to go, right? When we had this. So it broke out. It's coming to the top. What we would look for, is this all the correction that could drop? Because sometimes that's all. If you look at this, this was all that went up, right? This was all that went up. This was all that went up. So this could be all that drops. We're expecting to come back and retest this low, right? So if that's all the correction, we're going to go with it. Go to the 4 hour. You want to see divergence in some part of this whole structure, either in the 4 hour or in the 1 hour. We don't have the 4 hour divergence, except for this last piece. So once we break this top, we have divergence there, right? So we got this correction, and now we broke the top with divergence. Go to the 1 hour, and that divergence stays there. From this point onwards, you can see that there's a huge divergence here, which means what we're going to do is, if we get any sell setup, we'll take the trade. Now, this looks like it could go one more up. I wouldn't be worried about that. Let it go up, let it break the top. It's not a buy setup unless it becomes a really good flag again. We'll take the buy. If not, let it break the top, and then we'll look for the downside. The downside might just be a correction. If the downside becomes a correction like this, then we'll continue to the upside, because they're making corrections up, corrections up. I decided we might put this for now as a running flat, because we have this sharp one, but we'll see if that changes. There's a possibility we'll relook at that structure. Because what you're doing is you're taking all the pieces that you have, and you're trying to see what's the most likely pattern in this whole piece. And that sometimes you will see one pattern and then it will change into another pattern. And we call that the ever-changing pattern. That doesn't mean you can't trade it. That doesn't mean a simple pattern becomes a complex pattern, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look for the buy setup here now. Let's wait for that. And let's go. Aussie yen. It dropped to the low, which means from this point here, we start to look for a buy setup. I think we're getting a buy setup already, because this has to go back up and then come down. On the 1 hour, you're already getting a flag here. That's a buy setup. This is absolutely a buy setup with an entry above the top. an entry above the top, we will use a stop under the low. The trade to the upside is huge. If this keeps coming down much lower into this low, then we will take that trade off. But for now, that's a buy setup, and we expect this to go back up. I think it's pretty easy. We expect this to go back up. So we'll see what happens when we get to this stop, right? I think we might break all these stops. I'm going to put it like this. We will break that top before, even if they're going to come down, we will break that top before it comes down. So that is a buy setup. I'll put this as a buy setup. Sorry, wrong one. Buy. But it's green. That's a buy setup. Swiss yen. Go to the 1 hour. And the trade you had was this trade. It came down a little. It stayed there. It go back. It came down. You close that trade for positive. Break even. Right? It didn't go as far as we expected to go. Because I was expecting this. And then this would not be the running flat. I will not take that as a running flat, which means we're still in the correction. And if we're still in the correction, the chances are this might break the top. Now, do we have anything else to put this one with? I will hate to put it with this one here because then this move is really slow, which means I still think the running flat is possible. Even if we get a buy setup here and we take it, I think going there would still bring you back to the bottom here. So I wouldn't be buying this at the top there in the correction, although there is a buy setup there. Let's go buy something else, right, with this one. So we'll take this off. And if we do get a sell setup, we'll take it. CAD-yen. Good. CAD-yen is still in the sideways move. It came here. It's going up back. I think this might go a little higher. This might go a little higher here. We might get something similar to this. And then we would look for one more down and then the upside. So there is no buy setup here. There is no sell setup. It's not actually looking like it's going to fall as yet, which means I don't see this ready to go down. Probably go up a little more and then come down. We'll look for the sell. If this goes up, break the top, we'll put an entry here for the sell. Euro yen. Nothing, it's in the middle of nowhere, so leave that alone. Tong yen, this one actually dropped really nice. If you were in the trade, I hope you managed to pull some profit out of it. I don't know if this happened during the news or before the news. If it happens after the news, if this was the news driven, you should be out of that trade. If you traded, you'll trade it by a news event, then you'll still be in that trade to the downside. So we broke the low. What's next? It's pulling back, so I'll take all of this out. Take that out. And take this out. Right, so we'll just put this as the flat. I'll extend the flat to be this. That's a bigger flat. I'll assume that this is an equivalent of this. So right now, can this thing go back up? It can. You can go with this as a correction. A 1, 2, 3. And this can literally just go back up to the top, make a new high. So let's see if we have a buy or sell setup. I'm going on the 15 because we will see it clearer. We actually do have a buy setup here. Right, this is starting to look like a buy setup. Let's see in the 1 hour what it looks like. Not really a big consolidation. It's pretty small. So it will be up to you if you want to take the trade. You have to take an entry order above the stop, a stop below the low, and we'll see how high that goes. Literally what you want to see, the first move you want to see is you want to see this break through the stop. You want to see them reverse the first impulse. Because if it reverses the first impulse, that'd be a good trade. So we'll put this as a buy, as an aggressive buy, and then we'll see what happens. All right, let's go. Like I said, this is going to go break the top, but you don't want the buy. The buy is useless. What we want is the sell, and it starts to drop. They just broke the top and they start to drop. So, sorry, 15. Do we have a flag on the 15? No. We don't have a flag anywhere. It's just coming down. So wait in the 1 hour for a flag. Once it makes a flag, we're going to sell it. And they do make flags. See, this one actually had a flag here for the sell. I think we sold that. There's another one here. So we'll try to wait for a flag here. And that will be the sell setup coming back to the low. There is a chance we break out of this one. Right? There's a very good chance that this is all and it breaks out of that pattern way to the bottom. So we definitely want this sell setup. We don't have the flag. Wait for the flag. Once we get that, we're going to go with it. Let's go. Euros. Same here. I think we can start to look for a sell setup because it's under this and it's consolidating. So we can look for this. This looks a little upside right now. I mean, this bigger one. But if this consolidation stay here, it will be a sell. So we'll keep an eye on that. Euro-pound. It made the up move, but like I said, I really don't like the up move. Right? Not that it's not going to go, but it's not a big one. You'll have to put an entry here. You have a stop here, and this is the closest. You have to close that trade. Maybe it will make another one up. we'll leave it, and then with divergence in play, even if it makes another one up, we start to look for the sell setup, right? So it's not dropping as yet, which means I think they might even go one more up. So let's wait and see. Pound Swiss, if you took this trade, I hope that wasn't a news-driven part, but they dropped, so we'll get another trade here. We'll look for another sell. You want this to go back up a little, just like that. You want this to go back up a little, and you put a trade here, you put a stop here, and you're going for the next drop. Right? So we can do that easily. Put an entry here, put a stop above the top here, above this impulse, and you're going for the next drop. Right? So if you're in that trade, you should close it now. Take the profit off. Right? That's something we call maximizing. So if you took this trade here and you closed it here, this is your profit. You repeat, it's the same trade going down, but you've taken out the profit out of that trade. So you can't give that back. If this comes here, you wouldn't give back the profit. But you're saying to yourself, I want this trade all the way to the bottom here. So I will take off my profit here and I'll re-enter the trade at the bottom here. And I'll put the stop. The stop goes from there to here now. Same trade. If this drops here, you just add this profit to this profit because you will likely close it here, wait for the next trade to the downside. And you're just adding up 3 profit to the same trade, right? Because it's one big trade you're trying to get to the downside, but you don't have to stay with it. The idea of staying with a trade when it starts to consolidate a lot is really not a good idea. A lot of traders end up giving up back everything they had. So what we started to do later is we started to get out of the trade in the consolidation, maximize the profit, and we have rules how to do that. Like literally, you wouldn't take it off on the first one, but in the second one or the third pullback, you close that trade, you put an entry under the low. Sometimes the difference is 5 or 6 pips. That's all. We're still looking for a sell, so that is still a sell. Punkad never goes. So this trade we'll consider a loss because you would have closed the trade before the news. The news was here. The stop was here. The trade was here before the news. You would close that trade and you would take that loss. Right? You would not keep this trade during the news because during the news anything can happen. And it did come down. So we'll probably go with this one. Let's repeat what the pound did. We'll probably go with that flat, making a top. And if it comes down from there, the pattern is still valid, right? The pattern is just a little different from how we looked at it. We're still valid. If you look at this, please take this off. We can look at this and still look at this as the correction, as a 1, 2, 3 in there. You can look at this now as a 1, 2, 3 sharp waves. So this becomes a 1, 2, 3. This will probably go down a little more. But when it gets there, we still have this one, right? So I still think this is going to go back up. We wouldn't sell this. We're selling the pound Swiss. It's going good. No need to sell this. Let this drop, and then we look for the upside because that would complete the entire pattern before we actually get the downside. Do I think this is the move to the downside totally? I don't see this as completing the pattern, but if this is the move to the downside and you want to take the trade, right? Let's say you think this is the one that is totally drop. You want to take that trade. Then what you would have to do is put an entry there, put a stop above here, and then see how far it drops. Get it to break even as fast as you possibly can. All right, so I'll take this out. That is if you want to take the trade. Pangwas, nothing as yet. It looks downside, but we don't have a trade set up. There is a small flag here that is already broken, so wait for the next flag, and then we'll go with that trade. Natural gas. Okay, like I told you, you want the correction upwards, and they're giving you that correction. Eventually, we'll go with a sell setup. We're waiting for that flag to finish, and then we'll sell it. We wanted to buy it here upwards, but we didn't get the entry, and then just now it's gone, let it go. US oil, it dropped. If anybody took a trade from here, you did excellent because that was we expect this to come down back. Now you're getting a flat here. That's a sell setup. You let this finish, it probably could go higher, and then we'll sell it. As of now, you can put an entry order. You can put an entry order here, but you're not hoping that this drop. You're hoping that this goes higher because your stop is above the top. What is the bigger trade? Well, first, you want it to come back and break this low. You want it to come back here. From this point, we will see whether this makes a flat for one more up. That is possible. If that happens, this consolidation will be really, really big, right? Because this would be the biggest flat in the middle. And that means this move, this move, this move, and this move still has to repeat themselves. If it breaks through the low, if they break through this low totally, well, we will go with this as a correction within this move, and then we'll just go with the downside, right? Because then we'll see where that goes. So it's a sell setup, but you're in a correction. So you have to be aware that within the correction, it doesn't mean that it's over. S&P 500, congratulations if any one of you took that. Dropped perfectly, right? So we've got another sell setup here because it has to go and break the low. The magic does work, right? So we'll see. There's a sell setup here, put a stop here, put a sell here, wait for the break of the low. The same thing for NASDAQ. If you sold that, you did excellent. We will change that to this now. Change it slightly like this. And this one should come and break this low. So it's still a sell setup. Put an entry here under the low. Put an entry under the low. Put a stop above here and go for the break of the low. If you were in this trade, take your profit. Once it starts to consolidate, you take your profit and you go for that trade. Right? Let's go. US start the same thing. Well, we didn't sell this one as such, and this turned out to be the biggest drop. That's the sad part. So this structure is a little different. So I wouldn't even, if I didn't sell that, I wouldn't sell it. I'll still sell these two. These two structurally looks better. So if this can go break the low, that wouldn't change anything very much. It might change the way we look at this pattern, but the bigger structure, I don't think it has changed anything very much. What I wouldn't be surprised though is if they actually do this. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually does this and then go back up. If we start to see this happening, we're going to go on a joyride. We're going to bite to the upside every time it comes back to the low. So if we get a buy setup here today, we'll take it. It drop again, we get a buy setup, we take it. It drop again, we get a buy setup, and one of them is going to go up. All right, so you can take about 4 or 5 buys before that will happen. Nifty. It's consolidating, that would be upside. If this consolidate here, wait for this consolidation and go for that trade to break this stop. That's it dropped, and that's the reason why we closed the trade 3 times yesterday, because we said there's a good chance it's going to drop through that structure. Now that it dropped through the structure, we'll see whether it comes back here one more. We'll see whether it's turning out to be a bigger consolidation, and this one comes back and retests this low here before it goes. We don't know that, but that is possible. Leave this here. I want this one. Bring it back here, and then we'll see. So let's wait and see if that happens. You'll need a flat here before you sell. We need this to make a flat here, and if it makes a flat here, then we'll sell. If it goes back to the top, you can buy it until you get a flag. Right? There's no buy setup in that until you get a flag. Tesla came down a little more, and it probably will go. It's almost broke the low. Remember, the trade is only to come and break the low, and then after that, we'll see if it goes back up. I'll take it off. It's useless now. Bitcoin. Well, it dropped before going up. The idea was that this will probably go up a little here and then drop. If you're looking for the sell and you had an entry order here to sell or an entry order here to sell, I think you got break even. Right? So it broke the low, but it's not going anywhere. So let me take this off. See, we did break the low, but we're not really dropping. And that might be a good sign that they're not going to go anywhere lower. Right? When the momentum is not like this, but stop like that, you're thinking 2 things. One is that we're still consolidating. This is still in the consolidation before it drops, just making a bigger pattern. That's one. Or the second option is they're trying to reverse. Either way, we can look for a buy setup if we get anything. You don't have anything for a buy setup right now. ETH, same thing. I didn't think we even broke the low. The low on the ECA was not broken, so it's going to go. They are still in the consolidation, which means there's still a chance this goes back at the top and still drop, because we are still in the consolidation. We haven't broken the low. XRP. That buy was a good one. If you took the buy only to break this top, you took your profit. That's excellent. Now we can expect this to drop. Now, I didn't think you should take the buy, but if you did, I hope you managed to grab some profit, because this could drop to the bottom. This could consolidate more as well. If they consolidate here again and they go back up one more, you'll get this, and then we'll drop, break the low, and then we'll see if we go back up. This is a corrective structure as of now. I think this looks very much like a corrective structure for one more up. This one here, let's see. It's coming down. This is a sharp move up, so I don't think we're coming back to retest the low, which means I believe at some point this will start to go back up, and this here would be some kind of a big flat for upside. There's a very good chance for that this whole thing here is a huge flat for upside. You could look at it this way. You could look at this piece as the consolidation. You could look at this as a 1, 2, 3 for an expanding flat. You can look at this as a 1, 2, 3 for another expanding flat. And this could go up. Now, what would change that structurally? If you think this is going to drop, right? Let's assume you think, well, this is just a correction for downside. What I would want to see here is this piece start going back up like this. And then you will decide that this is coming to break the low. As of now, this could take off. So if you're trading this one, keep your eyes on this for an impulse and a flag, and we'll buy it. All right, let's look at it that way. And ADA. ADA is coming down, and I think we might break the low. Looks like it's going to come back here, break this low. It doesn't look like they're trying to go up. Again, we had this channel, so I wouldn't be surprised if it actually comes here and then start to go back up. We don't need to break the low because we broke the top above on the monthly structure. At the monthly structure, we broke the top. We already showed that possibility. We broke this top. We broke this top in this one. So it doesn't matter how you look at this whole big pattern. We don't need to break this low, but we can come and break this low before it goes back up. Do we have a buy setup? Let's see. Nope, you don't. There is no buy setup here. Even if this is some kind of consolidation for upside, we don't have a buy. LTC, same thing, downside. BNB, consolidating some more here, which means this is going to drop one more, but we still have that one. So it's going to be a running flat. It's going to come here, make a running flat, and then drop. So let's see. Go back. Well, Expedia is already not that crypto. All right, so just wait. We finish. Let's go. I'll stop the recording of this video. Just the recording will stop because we don't need more in the recording. We'll look at trades now. For all of you YouTube, you can stay on. I'll take your questions and we'll go from there, right? That is normally how we do our daily webinar. So you actually are witness to a daily webinar. We complete everything and now we'll take questions. So let me stop the recording. Oh, we didn't record this? We're live, but we didn't record it. Okay, no problem. Let's go. So any questions you guys have, any trade setups? Let's start with trade setups that tag. I'm going to go back to the one single trade that I'm in, which is the Aussie, and we will see what we do with that. Go to the 15 minutes. It's coming back up, so I'm not really worried about it. We'll see now if it breaks out. If this doesn't break out, again, I can close the trade and re-enter the top there, right? So I'll go to the 1 hour. And remember what I want to see. I want to see this hourly close in 15 minutes. In 10 minutes, I want to see the next one open and break the top. So you will actually be witness to me doing this live. If it doesn't break the top, I'm going to close the trade, put an entry above the top, and then we'll see what happens. Let's wait. It's going up. Remember, this is the daily impulse. This is the 1 hour impulse still, right? We're still in the 1 hour impulse, which means this thing can stop at any given point and start consolidating. Right? I'm hoping that it goes more and then consolidate here, and then we'll buy it in the New York session. Let's see if we get that. Any questions? Any questions I missed from YouTube? Okay. Can I short BNB now? Well, you can put an entry to short it, but remember the downside is limited because you're looking at a possible running flat, right? And you already broke the low. So there is not a big move to the downside unless you can get out for positive when it dropped, right? Unless you can get out for positive of this when it dropped, because it's not going to drop really far. This is the low. That's the low of the impulse. So they will likely break that low. How far they go, it's anybody's guess. When it breaks this low here, it's going to go back really sharp back to the top. So if I were you, I'll just let this happen and then look for the buy. Right? That might be a better deal because the risk to reward is going to be faster. It's going to be better and you'll get it faster. It just goes short. Nope, my friend. So for the person who said Jerome Powell messed you up, well, he didn't mess up your analysis, and you can rely on technical analysis if you understand how to do it correctly. You can't use the microphone. Please mute yourself. Good, thank you. Right. Let me see. We have some question here. Do you have a video on YouTube to help identify flats, running flats, and flags? We have a lot of them and I show you every time, but it's not that easy. And unless you complete the course, understand how to actually look at them, you might not be able to do that. You can join the group and eventually when you complete the course, you will learn that. DXY, in my opinion, long as it's trading below 105, it's just a longer consolidation for the complete WXY wave from 114. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me look at it. I don't look at the price. So it's long from what? As long as you're trading above below 105. It's long. I'm not sure. Why would it be long if you're trading below 105? It's just a longer consolidation for the complete WXY from 114. You have to draw that and send me visually. I'm not sure which 114 you're looking at. So you have to send me like a visual thing for me to read. You may want to take off your camera, because if everybody put on camera, it could slow down the whole thing. Where did I answer that one? Europong, we looked at that already. CAD Swiss buy from yesterday. Let's take a look at the CAD Swiss buy from yesterday. CAD Swiss, where is the CAD Swiss? It has to be somewhere at the bottom here. Yep, this was the CAD Swiss buy. It's still, you should close it for break even, and it's still upside, right? But now, when it stays so long there, close it for break even, then re-enter the top. If you're still in the trade, keep your stop here. It's still a flat. It's just making a bigger flat. You bought this one, right? And now it's making a bigger one here. By rule, you should close that trade for positive here. Wait for this to happen, and then it's still a valid trade to the upside. You're making a running flat. So now for those traders who won, this is a very good trade. By the way, let's show you this one. Technical analysis work. So you're looking for this trade to go up. The entry order is perfect now because you got a bigger flat. Your entry is here. Your stop is here. And this is a really nice flat for upside. I like it. Let's see if it happens. Don't blame the technical analysis. If you don't understand how the patterns work, then it's all the longer term trades work perfect. Let's put it that way. New Zealand CAD. Somebody won New Zealand CAD while we're here. Okay, what other trades you guys are looking for? We look. Can we take a deeper look at gold, oil, and Pongi, and we'll do that just now. So New Zealand CAD, if you were in the sell, this was the sell coming down. You probably closed it here. If you got into that sell, which would be under this one, you will want to close it again. It's going sideways, not up as yet. We were expecting this to go up. It's not going. If you were in this buy, you definitely close that there because it didn't take off. We're in a bigger consolidation here. And if you're going to buy this, you can actually put an entry order here if you want to buy it. It's still possible you're going to make one more move up. Now the move might most likely just be like this, which means this one might most likely just go break this top, right? Kind of a 1, 2, 3, and then make a flat because it pulled back much deeper. Make a flat and drop again. See this flat here? Make a flat, drop again. So there's a possibility you might just get another flat, you might drop again. But it's a buy setup, short term, really short term trade. Okay, let's see. I don't think I missed anything here. Let's see on our side here. We have, can you take a deeper look at oil? We already looked at gold. If you missed it, sorry, because you'll have to come earlier. We can look at oil for you. Oil is a bigger consolidation. Oil long term is downside. This one here, long term, eventually downside. Nothing much to look at here, right? It's consolidating, and once that consolidation finish, once this consolidation here finish, right? Once this finish, it's downside. So long term, this is going to go down. It can go up a little more within the consolidation, but long term is downside. What else you want? You want the Peng Yen. I think we did the Peng Yen already. Did you? Peng Yen. Good. So we're in this structure here right now. It's going sideways. This one is going sideways. I think this is literally going sideways. I expect this to come back here, right? Come back here, probably break this low. And when we break that low, then we will decide whether from this point they go back up or they drop through the bottom. It looks like it's going to go back up. It looks more like a big correction for upside. One more up. But the most immediate trades you're looking for is the downside, right? This piece, short-term upside. So take this off. Right, so if we look at this now, there's a chance that short-term this here makes a new up here and then come down. It's a big structure for downside, right? This entire thing is downside. I think this is pretty clear, right? This whole thing was that when we sold that, we thought it was going to drop here. Well, it didn't, and it pulled back. So now you're getting a flag for upside. See? that seems like a little flag there for upside, which means this could go and break the top and then come back. So let's see, is it going to do that? All right, so we've got that covered. All the cryptos, actually, we'll leave it to the end. All the new cryptos we don't have, we'll leave to the end. NASDAQ 100, I think we did that. We just did it. We sold it yesterday, and you're selling it today. That's a sell setup again. You've got another sell setup to come and break this low. Oh, you're short from 12.29.9, 12.27. I think 29 would be higher. That would be somewhere here. Okay, here's the thing. When you're short like that, since we don't have no guarantee that this is going to totally go up, totally drop, we don't know that. What I would do if I were you is, rather than keep this trade and put it at break even, is if this comes back here now, but don't break out, close the trade here and put an entry order under the low. Now, if this continues to drop, this is all you're going to miss. But if this goes back up here, well, you would regret not taking this profit. See, we call that optimizing your profit. That's as part of our strategy in trading. That is part of the trade management rules we have. What do you think of a possible running flat on Peng Yen in 15 minutes? Running flat for upside on this piece. 15 minutes running flat for where? Downside, upside? I don't see which one you're looking at. Oh, you're talking about this piece here, this little piece? It doesn't matter. No, these could be smaller corrections. Just put the entry above the top and let's see if it takes off. It could be a running flat. This could be a correction of its own. These are very low time frames. These corrections, I mean, you've got a deep pullback. If they go now, they'll probably break the top and that'd be a good trade. So we can go with that. It could be a running flat. Okay, what are the questions? Let's see. What else did I miss? What are the questions? Let me see. Punkat, please. Okay, I think we did the Punkat. We'll go through here again. Punkat is a sell setup. You've got a nice one, put the entry under the low, and we'll go with the sell. Right? We'll see where that takes us. I don't really like this sell. Again, I explained that I don't like the sell because this whole structure has to go back up. If it drops, it doesn't have to drop very far. I don't see the end of this structure, which means I don't think it's finished. So this could go back up to the top and then come down. But if it does drop, it probably could do this and then go back up. Very rarely, I think this one is going to drop off. All right, so we're not selling that. We're selling the pound Swiss. The pound Swiss was a good sell yesterday. I think today would be a good sell. So if it drops to the bottom here, this will give you, because we have a better idea what we think the pound Swiss is doing. All right, pound Swiss structurally is better. So I can literally see this coming back here. That would make more sense for the trade and then go back up. Not necessarily no trade in any of the cryptos, but most of them are downside. I think that's a question on YouTube. Most of them are downside if you want. Some EOS. Okay, there's a lot of cryptos requests, guys, from both sides. So this webinar is long. What I can do is we can wait when all the trade setups we're looking at, everything else is okay. And if everybody's okay with that, we can go and look at some cryptos for you guys. I think we will have to do one of these webinars, strictly crypto for everybody, because there's a lot of requests on cryptos. Is it mandatory to identify a B wave and all pattern as it's a key? Not, well, you can say B wave if you want, but I think what you meant is a corrective structure. So this would be the good moment. And before I start this little piece of educational thing for you guys, anybody looking at any trade that you're in or any trade setups, both sides, if you type, if you're in a trade or if you're in a trade setup you're looking at, let's look at that first, and then I'll give this very fast. Uh, 15-minute flag on Aussie USD, Euro Aus. Let me see for buy or for sell. Euro Aus 15 minutes. I would definitely not buy a 15-minute at the top there. We spoke about that yesterday. And if you're talking, that is 4 hours, sorry. 15-minute correction at the top for upside. Not if you're talking about this 15-minute for the sell, yeah, it's a 15-minute one, not a bad idea for a sell. you can go with it. I think it's going to go down because we're in the top. So, but you have to keep a stop here, which means if you're going to break out of this structure, you don't want that trade. So if you're taking this 15 minute, you have to keep a stop there and you have to be willing to lose that trade, which means if it tags here and start to go back, you have to either be quick at getting out of it or take a loss on the trade. If you're willing to do that, that's not a bad trade, especially since you're trading it from the top going downwards, right? From this top here, you're coming back downwards. That's a good trade. So well done. If you can take the 15-minute trade and willing to take a loss, that's a good trade. See, I think that could solve that problem. So it's a mandatory pattern. Here is the idea, and I'm going to give you guys a piece of information here that is pretty much important for your trading career and something you should know. The first thing you should ask yourself, what is a market? What creates a market? What is it really? Market is when two persons agreed on a price, but disagree on the value. What that means, if you want to buy Bitcoin, somebody has to sell it to you, right? So for us to have a market on Bitcoin, you would like to buy Bitcoin here, and somebody would have to sell the Bitcoin to you at this price, at X price, right? If nobody's willing to sell Bitcoin to you at X price, then you don't have a market. All you have is a willingness to buy, and nobody's selling. So once somebody decides they're going to sell to you, you have a market. We have created a market. You're a buyer and you have a seller, right? So let's say somebody agreed to sell to you at this price, at this X price, right? What that person is thinking, his thought process is that I think Bitcoin is going to lose value. I don't have any value for Bitcoin. I need to sell my Bitcoin because I want cash. At that moment, it doesn't necessarily mean he thinks the price is going to drop. It just means that at that moment, he's tired holding Bitcoin because he needs cash. Cash has more value to him. But for you, you have a lot of cash just lying around doing nothing, and you would like to invest it. So you think Bitcoin is a good investment because you believe Bitcoin will gain value. That's the only reason you buy it, right? You're not buying Bitcoin if you think it's going to lose value, right? That would be a really stupid thing to do. So you're buying it because you think it's going to gain value. The person selling it to you believes Bitcoin has no value to him. He needs cash. For whatever purpose, he needs cash. It's like somebody selling their house. They're not thinking whether the house price is going to go up or down. They're thinking, I need my cash and I need to get rid of this house. You, who is badly in need of a house, believes that the house has more value because you have money but you can't live in the money. You want a house to live in and you will give them the money regardless of what you think the price is going to do, right? That is a market. If you're a trader, of course, you will think that it has more value to come with it. So if you're like me, when I bought my apartment in Dubai, my number one thought process was I'm buying an apartment that will gain value in time. And after looking about 50 of them, well, not 50, about 10 of them, the realtor starts getting tired with me. And I said to the realtor, look, this is what I'm looking for because it has to gain value. If it's not going to gain value, I'm not buying it. Well, congratulations to me because the apartment I bought has gained value. I'm getting a call on a daily basis to sell it. I'm not selling it as yet because it still has more value to me right now than the cash. At the minute I decide to leave Dubai, or the minute I think the price is really high, I'm going to sell it because at that point in time, I think the value is going to be good up. That is a market. Now, what happens with anything, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, any market for that matter of fact? It will either go up, it will either go down, or it's going to go sideways. Any market at any given time will do one out of those three things. Nothing else ever happened in the market except one out of those three things. Now, when market is going up, it's gaining value. When market is going down, it's losing value. When market is in this place, it means that we have agreed that within this range, this price is pretty good. But this is what is important to you as a trader. When market is in a consolidation, which means when market has found a stability of the price, any market you look at, doesn't matter what market, when it found the stability of the price, where all the buyers and all the sellers decided this is a very, very good point to buy and sell. You can imagine thousands and thousands of entry orders being going there, where half of those people believe it's going to go up and half believe it's going to go down. Now, half of them might just be selling because they don't need it, or they might be buying because they really need it, without thinking of the direction it's going to go. But we as traders can decide, and as wave analysis traders, we can have a very good idea where this is going to go. And that's what I teach you to do. Understand where this thing could likely go. On the 4-hour, the daily, the monthly. If you look at this morning's webinar at the start, I showed you that forecast, not just because I'm trying to show you forecast, because I want you to understand where the market is eventually going to go. So your thought process is, okay, I want to go in this direction with the bigger market. What should I do? And how should I trade these smaller trades and look for the bigger one? Right? So let's assume this is in this range. If you see that, you should be the happiest person if you're a trader. Because now you know you're about to get one out of these two. It is either going to go up or it's either going to go down. And this is where wave analysis is the only analysis in the world that will teach you this. And the way we look at patterns has the highest percentage, about 80% percentage of telling you which direction that is going to go. Now you're going to get it wrong sometimes, of course, because patterns vary. And you know patterns, like you're looking for a common flat, which is a regular flat that is going to go up. And that is what we're looking for in New Zealand, right? A regular flat. Turns out it dropped a little lower than we expected, and then we get a running flat. And that is okay, as long as you understand that possibility. But guess what happens? If you were trying to buy New Zealand, you didn't buy it. It dropped, so you didn't get the buy. You didn't lose anything. You have your account, and you can look for a buy in New Zealand today. Right? So you're pretty good. You didn't lose anything. And that's the important thing with wave analysis. It didn't get you in the trade when the trade is not going. Right? You're not in the trade, so what the hell do you care? Do you know how many things you didn't do yesterday? There are a million things you could have made money in that you didn't do except selling New Zealand. Right? But you didn't do them. You're not worried about that, right? You're not worried about the mansion you didn't buy that the price went up today. Right? Or you're not worried about the mangoes you didn't buy because the mango price went up today. You're not worried about all of that because you didn't do it. Just let it go. Worried about the things you do, right? Or the ones you're in, the trades you're in. Like if you were in the stock trades that we showed, like S&P 500 and all of those, if you're in days, they're great, good for you. That's what you need to worry about. So what we're going to do is how we're going to get this trade. That's what we teach you here every day. Now, that's a learning moment. You asked me if you need a consolidation. Now, that consolidation is not necessarily going to look like the one I draw. It could look like this. Going up could look like this. And then go. It could look like this. Then go. And worse yet for you, let me erase all of this. Worse yet for you is it could look like this. And then go. Now, the question, how would you know which side any one of this is going to go? That will depend on the bigger pattern. Where is it? Does this have a lot to go? Or is it going to turn from that point? So here is a good example of that. Let's go to Euro New Zealand. Remember what I said, Euro New Zealand will go up one more, but we are not going to buy it. I told you this is going to go and break this stop, but we are not going to buy it. We're not interested in buying that. There is a buy setup there. Look at the 1 hour. It's a perfect buy setup. We're not buying this because we're not interested in that piece. Here's what we're interested in, risk to reward. And the risk to reward is you would have to put an entry order somewhere here. And the closest you could put the stop is here, which is very bad. The best stop would be here just for this. That doesn't make sense. But guess what? If we get a flag here today, we're interested in buying it here, selling it there, put a stop here, and then go for this one with the possibility of it breaking out here. Now that's a risk to reward. And this is what this trade would look like. Remember what I just showed you? At some point, the market goes into consolidation. The market goes up, it consolidates, it goes up, it drops, it goes up, it drops, it starts to consolidate. And at some point, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. We have decided, based on the patterns we look at, that this market has the higher probability of coming here. So I would put that about 85% chance of the market going down. I can be wrong, but if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be in the trade. It going up. We even saw the upside and we didn't buy it. That is because we understand patterns. We understand how these patterns behave. You would hardly get that anywhere else. So I think you learned something. If you're new or if you're a seasoned trader, you'll learn something. Let's see if we can get this trade for this week. And if we get that, that'll be the amazing trade. See? That's the whole point. What would this eventually do? I can show you the charts and then you would decide for yourself. This is the daily structure. Right? And if you're looking at this daily structure and you're seeing this thing doing this here like this, which is coming from this way, it's coming all the way from here, and then it starts to do this, then your thought process is, well, when this is finished, it looks like it's going to drop downwards. See? But you're not trading this time frame. You're not Warren Buffett. You're not putting on a trade now and wait 5 years for the results. You are trading now and you want the results. Most traders who believe they can trade long-term cannot trade long-term. I learned that from my experience trading for investors. They cannot trade long-term. You would show them a long-term trade and they would panic pretty early. As soon as a week pass or 2 weeks pass, they start to panic. And you were absolutely right. 2 years after, they said, wow, if only we have done what you said we should do, it would have been amazing. Well, that's sad that we couldn't wait for 2 years or even a year and a half. We couldn't, because that's long-term trading. Short-term trading is you take it now and you want instant gratification. Traders who click a trade now, they want that trade to go right now. Instant gratification is what we want. We don't want to wait long. Our fuse is very short now. With internet, how many times you click on a video and it starts, everybody has high-speed internet, right? But sometimes it just stopped for a few seconds, and people get pissed off. The video is not starting off for like 3 seconds. I get my internet speed is 500 megabytes seconds. So if I click something and it doesn't go immediately, I get upset. Like, hey, why is it taking so long with this internet? It's supposed to be super fast, right? That's how we want. We all want instant gratification. So short-term trading, that is why traders go to the 1 minute to trade, because it gives them instant gratification. It's not because they will be successful. It's because they can make 1,000 trades a day and they get instant gratification, even if it's 1 pip or 2 pips. They're trading for the hype, for the adrenaline high. They're not really trading as a business. Because as a business, trading in the 1 minute will get you in trouble. You cannot do it for a very long period of time. Otherwise, Warren Buffett would have 1,000 people sitting in his office doing exactly that. Or any investor would have 1 million. You can hire 10,000 people, put them in to trade for 1 minute and make billions and billions of dollars over the day. But it's not going to happen because it's not, it doesn't work that way. You're going to end up losing billions in a day if you get so much people doing crazy stuff in the 1 minute. So, but it does give you gratification. You can go on the internet every 3 seconds and say, wow, 5 pips, 6 pips, 7 pips, just pull 8 pips out of the market. And I could do that if I want every day. Pull a few pips out of the market every couple seconds is not a hard, every couple minutes is not a hard thing to do. But that's not trading. So what we would look for is a longer term risk to reward trade where you don't have to get your nerves being tickled every couple seconds. We look for this trade now. Okay, let's go look at trade setups. EuroCAD. Some people are asking CAD Swift. The CAD Swiss, we already looked at that as a buy setup on the 1 hour, not the 15 minutes. There's a 1 hour flat forming there. We just looked at it not too long ago. You're looking for the EuroCAD. Let's see EuroCAD. Any other trades? Type all the trades you want me to look at. Trades, only trades that you want me to look at. EuroCAD. Where's the EuroCAD? It's EuroCAD is at the bottom. I think we removed that because we weren't using it very often. And now everybody wants it. So let's go. Euro Swiss. Where the hell is the EuroCAD? I don't have it here. I should have it at the top here then. I just put it back here because we took it out and now everybody wants EuroCAD. So let's add it back. Add a symbol.
It was at the bottom actually. You moved over.
More at the bottom. Okay, we look at it just now. Let me just open this. So EuroCAD, this is the whole big structure. I think it's pretty clear. This one will eventually go down. You can see that. You can see the move down. You can see that consolidation. Where are we in this bigger consolidation? Not very clear, right? Because this piece here did make a flat. You did make a high. You're coming down. So if this makes a consolidation here, I want to see a little bigger consolidation. We can go for the sell. If it does make, because you made a new high there, right? See that one? So let's get a consolidation and go for a sell. I don't think this is enough of a consolidation here for the sell. Although you can make an argument for an expanding flat here. You can make an argument for an expanding flat. Put an entry under the low. You would have to put a stop either above the top or above that top, depending on how long term you want to go, and go for the trade. See this flat we actually broke the top of this one. Right, see that, so this is the first impulse done. You can make an argument that this is an expanding flat. Put an entry here and see how far that goes. For safety, I will double my risk and put it here rather than put it there, because they can tag you and go back there and then drop. You don't want that to happen. So you can go with the downside and then target coming back to this here. I don't think we're going to break to the downside as yet, but it's possible. All right, so let's go. Took the flag on the Aussie. Where do you think it can go? The flag on the Aussie yen. Let's see Aussie yen. Oh, this could go pretty high. We're expecting this to go and break out. Well, first you would watch it when it comes here, but I think it could break out of the structure. So that's a good trade, by the way. We'll keep an eye on it. It didn't break out as yet, so you want to really keep it above the top because these are small flags. So you want to be above the top, which means you shouldn't be in the trade as yet. Right? See the 4 hour, there's a big pitch looks going to deep. See the 4 hour, there's a big pitch looking going to deep, and so it's as long as it's below. You already said that. You have to show me the structure. I don't know what you're talking about. So you have to show me where you see WXYXZ, because we might not be seeing the same WXYXZ. Send me, label your chart, send me a copy, and we'll look at it. I have no idea what you're talking about, right? You send it on Skype. Okay. Where would I get that? Oh, I can't go open Skype now. That would take a while. Send me right in this chat here where it is, and then I'll open it. Skype will take a too long time to open. Let's go. Okay, what other trade setups I missed? Sol, did we just miss a 15-minute flag and Sol? I don't know. I don't think so. Let's see. Could go there. I think we have that one here. Nope, I don't see any 15-minute flag on it that we missed. Nothing was missed on that. It doesn't have any setup as yet. I would wait for a really good 1 hour impulse, 1 hour flag. Because you're trying to take a risky trade from the bottom coming up, if that's what you're looking for, right? UK 100, a few people want UK 100. I think we have UK 100 at the bottom here. It's pretty sure we looked at it. Let's see. UK 100, we'll go with, let's go with the currency one. It's coming down. You actually have a flag here for a sell. This might not be a bad idea. I don't like this deep pullback. This deep pullback is a little unnerving, right? See that piece? So this flag, if it drops, if you look at this and it drop, it might just do this and go back up. Be aware of that, because this deep pullback is what changes everything. If that deep pullback was not there, this deep pullback has to do two things. It has to either break the top, right? If it breaks that top and then come down, then that is perfect for downside. If it doesn't break the top, then what it does is you create another pattern forming within this range, right? So this will drop, and it's likely could drop like this, but then it could go back up there, come back here, and then you will get a 1, 2, 3. You get this correction, you get a 1, 2, 3, go back up there, and then you drop, right? This is understanding patterns themselves. So big picture is downside. You can take that flat, but you take it with caution because we didn't break the top. So if you take it with caution to the downside. It's a flat for a sell. Let's hope it actually drop a lot more so you can get break even out of the trade if it doesn't go the way you want it. And then, you know, if it drops this much, you can put it to profit. You can even take profit once it hits the low and then see where that goes. But this is a correction for downside. It just might not be over. So we got that. Yes, we didn't really look at so correctly. I didn't look at it correctly. Okay, let's go back and look at it. So you will tell me where I missed it. Which 15-minute flag you're talking about? We're in the 4 hour. Oh, you mean I hit the wrong one? No, this is the wrong one.
No, that's not the soul.
That's not the soul. Sorry, we have to go back to the top here. My fault. Where is it? It's somewhere at the top. It's somewhere at the top here, I think, right? S&P 500. It's here. Yep. What I didn't look at correctly. You're the bottom here. What 15-minute flag for the sell, for the buy? I don't think that 15-minute sell, if you're trying to take a 15-minute sell here, is valid. You don't have anything. You just have this one piece up, right? So I'll probably let it do something more like this and then go for the sell, because you're at the bottom of this structure. You're trying to sell this piece here. Here's where you have to understand where you are in the structure, right? This is coming down. Let's just make an assumption, because we don't know that. Let's make an assumption that all of this here is some kind of a correction for upside, because you came pretty sharp into that, right? If you look at it and you came, the move to the upside was really sharp, right? You make one sharp move and then suddenly you start to just do this. Now, remember, I tell you, sometimes that would be flat, sometimes it would be a little expanding, sometimes it would be a little contracting, sometimes it would go upwards, sometimes it would go downwards. What if this is making some kind of an expanding pattern, right? This whole thing is making some kind of an expanding pattern in the middle there. You can go with this one, you can go with this one. It doesn't matter which one you go with, but what if this is trying to go up? This is the point from where it will go after breaking this low, right? So what you're thinking, if I'm going to sell this at this point, I might as well get something that looks like this, so that when I get a sell setup, it drops like this, go back up, I can get out of that trade. A 15-minute sell there, you're looking for trouble. For the buy setup, now it's going to go, it has to make an impulse. And you see, when they make impulse, this first impulse didn't make a flag. The second impulse, we knew that was going to go down because we look at that as flat. You can look at this and say, maybe this is the bigger one. This could make an impulse and drop. When it makes the impulse, wait for the flag. And that flag is your confirmation for the trade to go. See? Natural gas, what is finished? Let me see. Do we have any other one here? No, we don't have on my own. So natural gas, you're looking at what? Something with its finish. What time frame are you looking at natural gas for upside? That goes up to 4. If you're talking about this piece here, it all depends on how high this goes. If this goes all the way to the top here and come back, we would look at that as a flat, which means we think this is going to go up. Now, how high that is going to go, 4,005? Anybody's guess, it could go pretty high. Yeah, you could get to 4,005, not a problem. Could easily get to that level if this proves it's a flat. Now, if it's a flat, it might even be more bigger than that. This could actually come here, go drop, come here, drop, come here, drop, and then this actually goes up. It all depends on how fast it moves. But that is the case. So, but the most important trade you want right now is the 1 hour downside. So on the 1 hour, you want this for the sell, because you're going to get an impulse like this to the downside. We were trying to buy, if you were here Monday, we were trying to buy this, right? We were trying to buy this. This piece here can come down a little, and you might want to consider if you want to buy this to the upside, because you could get a move like this, right? So if this comes here and you're an aggressive trader in the 15-minute for this piece, good for you. But then you can let this finish and look for the sell. That might be a better idea, because the risk to reward is much better, right? And the trade is more guaranteed to go. Okay, guys, what else? We've been here for a long time, right? We came at 11:45. It's already going to be 1:45. Very soon. It's 1:25. Any more questions? I will see all of you in the New York session, and please don't forget to share the links. Some of the traders will come to the event. And by the way, you may want to watch this webinar again, because there are a lot of educational stuff that you missed. And if you thought you got everything out of it, you may want to watch it twice, because there's a lot of things you will pick up that I mentioned, but you didn't pick up because you're focused on a single trade, right? YouTube has quite a bit of a delay, so response can come late. Yeah, that's true, Vic. I noticed that. When I do see the thing, it comes a little late. So you were saying 1 hour or 4 hour, and I'm not sure if that is to the natural gas one. The 1 hour, well, if you're looking at the 1 hour, I just showed you the 1 hour flat. The 4 hour is the bigger flat at the top. Yep. BTC USDT has a flag for sell. Let's look at that. BTC USD. How am I feeling about the Aussie USD trade? I'm not feeling anywhere about trade. I just leave it. If you know me when I trade, I don't panic. It's, oh, you mean what I should do with it? So the hourly finish. Thank you, by the way, to remind me. Well, so that hourly finish, right? So we got 1, 2, 3 hours. Right now, this hourly will close in 26 minutes. So after 26 minutes, how this hourly close will tell me whether I stay in the trade or not. But for your safety, since you were not going to be able to manage it the way I manage, you can close this trade here for positive and put the entry above the top. You're not losing anything, right? So you can go right now, if you're in the trade, close it right now for positive and then put your entry above the top. What that means, if the next candle comes down like this, you're okay. And if they do this, then we will all buy this in New York session. Right? So you would not be able to manage as close as I can manage it. So get out, put the entry. The difference is between these two. Actually, the difference is only this. Right? The difference is only this for you. So no big deal. Close it for positive, put your entry here, and if that goes, you're in the trade. If this comes back here, because see, they're going downwards, right? So if it keeps going downwards like this, you'll be safe. Right? That small profit is not what you're looking for. I call that break even. Right? We're looking for this to take off like a rocket. So you will still get the trade, right? Because you're 3 to 5 pips above the top. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay, guys, I think that's good for today. I've given you enough, so make sure you share the link. Make sure you invite more people to YouTube. Make sure you.
Anil?
Yes, go ahead.
Before you went to the Aussie, you said you would look at that Bitcoin flag.
Oh, some Bitcoin. What was it?
Bitcoin USDT.
Yes. BTC USDT. Let's look at that. And we can go with the top one. We can do it like, where is that? Let me put this back. Yep, here. What time frame was he looking at? Sorry. It's same thing like the Bitcoin thing. It not this downside. On the 1 hour, you're looking for, there's a small flag forming there. I don't know if you want to sell that. Let's see on the 15 what it looks like. On the 15, it's a small flag for upside actually, but I wouldn't buy into this 15-minute one because this 15-minute trade could only do this and drop. That would be a perfect 1 hour sell setup. So I wouldn't really take the buy on the 15 minutes yet. I'll probably be looking for
1 hour. 1 hour, he says.
A 1 hour. On the 1 hour, you don't have anything much. You're getting a couple sideways here, but it's a little too early because you don't have. You see, these you want the confirmation of an impulse. Because this could drop here, right? It come here, go back there. It's going to give you a nice little flat, and then that's a sell setup, short term. What you want is this to break through the previous one. You want them to break through all of this. And then make the flag here. Now, this is a really good buy setup, safer buy setup, because these are cryptos, they move up and down really fast, right? I mean, look at this way. You will not be able to exit or get in. So you want the confirmation of a really good pattern. I hope that helps. So, okay, guys, thank all of you for coming. I hope I see all of you in the New York session, and I hope all of you bring somebody with you. Honestly, that person will be very thankful if you do. So take care, trade with care. See all of you this afternoon. Right? Thank you very much. Bye. I think we will have